Now, a Ghanaian partner of the Australian mining firm licensed to mine lithium at Ewoya in the central region, Ben Nunumensa, says they are facing challenges securing lease to begin the project next year. Chief Executive Officer of Berari DV Ghana, Nunumensa, maintains he owns 10% of the deal, contrary to claims by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister that he owns a lesser stake. Let's get on Zoom now and speak with Ben Nunumensa for more reactions on this. Grateful to you for this. Now, help us understand your actual stake in the firm.
Well, good evening to you and good evening to our listeners. I think the issue there was the first entered UK. That yes, the Berari DB is my company, which I had myself and my partners are 100% shareholding in it. But because we needed capital to invest into the project or to go into the exploitation of the mineral, we definitely had to bring strategic partners from outside. So we got Iron Rich Resources who expressed interest in partnering us to go into the mining projects at Ewoya, and which they did. And subsequently, based on investments in the projects, they had acquired a certain level of shares or interest, and up to this level, they have 90% shareholding structure in Berari, and I have 10% shares in the company as we speak now.
Well, but I mean, how come there's this controversy about, your share of the contract?
Well, I'm not too sure where that started from, but if you listen to the interview with the Chief Executive of the Mineral Commission with Asepa, with Heno, well, he had mentioned that I have 10% shareholding. But when the minister spoke the next day to Joy FM, he said 4.4%, probably because somebody had questioned a missing 4.4%, which I don't know where that is coming from. But as we speak now, and if you check the records from the General, 10% share, and Iron Rich Resources of Singapore, which is also known as Atlantic Lithium, has 90% stake in it.
People have spoken about this deal in terms of the exploration of the lithium that we found. A lot of people say this is not the best deal. You are into it. Tell us more about that.
Well, I would say it's not the best deal. At least it's better than what we have had in the past. If you look at most of our mining communities as we have them now, go to Obuasi, go to Iduaprim, go to Takwa. You see how very deprived these mining communities are. And that is where I have a problem. I drive through this town. Look, some of the most developed cities in the world or in countries who have mines are their mining cities. Look, I have a place in Omonde or Gold Reef City in South Africa, or Johannesburg, as you call it. And look, Gold Reef City is one of the most developed cities in Johannesburg. Why can't Obuasi or Takwa or Iduaprim be like Gold Reef City? It's because the mining laws as we have now are very exploitative. We've never focused on what we can retain as a country or as Ghanaian. We've been so liberal that most of these resources are taken out to foreign countries to develop their countries. So for me, my only worry is that, yes, compared to what we were doing in the past, at least now what they are asking for, what government is asking for, is about a 10% royalty from what we used to do in the past, which is about 5 to 8% royalty. I know government also wants to have a free carry of about 20, which is also good, as it was some years back, or what we had previously was around 10%. I know the Mineral Investment Fund also wants to invest in the project, which is also good, But the other thing is what happens to the offtake.
Okay.
These are things that nation as a people need to look at, so that if we can retain majority shareholdings by Ghanaians or by the state in most of these are mining companies, then the resources stay here. Then we can create businessmen in Ghana, and then they invest the money to create jobs for our people. But if we don't change our laws as it is now, well, this is what it is.
Okay.
And
all right.
We need to look at it as a nation and
all right.
Law.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here. Away from that, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has said he cannot promise salary increment for pre-tertiary teachers and other labor unions if the NDC comes into office. His comment was in response to a series of calls by some teacher groups for the former president to revise their conditions of service when the next NDC government comes into power. Addressing the calls on his Building Ghana tour in Tamale, John Mahama says it will be dishonest on his part to make promises that he cannot redeem considering the current economic situation.
Tertiary teachers, she talked about conditions of service. I've said it, that the economy is in a big mess, and so I cannot promise everybody that we're going to increase your salaries and all that. I don't want to be like those dishonest people who came and promised you heaven and said they will build factories in every district, they will build dams in every village, they will give every constituency $1 million a year. I'm not that kind of person. And so I cannot promise you that I'm coming to increase your salaries, but we've taken note of the difficulties that pre-tertiary teachers are going through. And I've suggested some of the solutions. And one is that we will help you with accommodation in the schools so that more teachers can stay in school. One of the reasons a lot of teachers do not want to go on posting to certain areas is because they cannot find accommodation. There have been some rural areas where nobody rents a house or a room, and so you have to stay in town and commute to school every day. And the cost of transport will eat up all your salary.
Nanja Carbono is president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT. He joins us on this. Grateful that you're here. Now, what do you make of what the former president is saying? He's being candid, isn't he, that the current economic situation, even moving into 2025, cannot allow for consistent upward negotiation of conditions of service?
Well, conditions of service have lifespan. So, as I speak to you, the conditions of service of the Ghana Education Service is 2 years. Number two, I think the time has come for us Ghanaians, but let me congratulate the teachers who met the former president and the candid way those teachers raised the issue. So I congratulate, and I also am happy with the interaction that went on. These are the type of interactions that should go on between the populace and flag bearers and candidates, so that we can get clarity on the dreams and aspirations of the people and what the flag bearers can also do. The next thing I'd like to talk about is we need honest politicians in this country. The days when politicians will come and stand on platforms and promise heaven that they will do this, they will do that, they will do this, they will do that, only for them to come to power and cannot deliver, we the public have to be alert and not fall for those populations. The position of presidential candidates should be expressed in the manifesto of the political party.
Okay.
Not positions that are made at the spur of the moment. That is what has brought us where we find ourselves in this country today. Position of flag bearers should be a reflection of research, thoughtfulness, and all that expressed in their manifesto. That is when we can take them serious. So, like I said, the Ghanaian populace will no longer fall for flowery talk.
Okay.
We will listen to thoughtful talk and think that they are capable of giving to the populace of this country.
Which means that you are aware that the situation, the finances of this country, makes it quite difficult for any government to say, I want to increase the salary of labor.
That is not the tangent I'm coming from.
Okay.
Salaries are not negotiated by individual group of workers. Salaries are negotiated by organized labor. And organized labor speaks with the government and all the parameters and realities are put on the table, and it is analyzed by both organized labor and government, and the minimum wage is established, which triggers the salary for that year. So no one union, no one group of workers can go and negotiate their salary outside that of organized labor.
Okay. All right. Let's see how this goes. I'm grateful for joining us now. Dr. Asante, Dr. Asante is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana and also joins us on the phone lines for this. Doc, I'm grateful. First, are you surprised at the level of honesty of the former president when he says, quote, "I simply can't guarantee what you're calling for in the situation we find ourselves"?
Governance is guided by nothing but honesty, honest leadership. You proceed with that. And once we come to terms with this, I'm not sure politicians can take us for a ride. We are responding this way simply because time and again, we have been deceived. We have been manipulated. They've used propaganda on us, wild promises without adhering to them. So when you see a change in the status quo, then we are worried. This is how you should be. I can't make this, but this one I can provide. That is how you do it, so that you can judge them. But having said all this, the real discussion will come when NDC come out with their manifesto, after they have engaged the stakeholders in all the various sectors of the economy, and that they put it in there. There they will see expression of some of these things in there. Okay. But I am happy, and I salute the former president that he's been candidate. Okay. And it is not him alone. If you look at Baumi and some of the things that he said, he has also recognized that they need to be able to make promises that they can meet. It's something that I read in between the lines of Baumia's speech. So gradually we are getting there, and we, the populace, we are better off when we go on that time. But let's force them to make sure that after saying what they see, they work the mathematics for us, for us to know the reality.
But I mean, you have to convince the numerous people who go to polls and vote. So can there be any political implications for the former president and the party with what he said? And you are bringing in Bami also. Will that honesty not cost them some votes?
If you don't want honesty, what do you want? You want lies, deception, manipulation? Is that what you want before you go and vote? Yes, if that is what you want, look at how far we have come. We have been deceived for a very long time. We have been manipulated for a very long time. Okay. Propaganda has taken the better part of us. So let us go on that tangent and make sure that we pin them down to be able to work the mathematics of each policy that they bring out. If we realize that they don't hold water, let's throw them away at the polls, but not when they are honest about their issues. I mean, I want leadership by honesty. Proceed with integrity.
Okay. All right. Grateful to you for joining us here. Now, the Tertiary Educational Workers Union of Ghana, TEU Ghana, has refused to call off its industrial action despite the government meeting some of their demands. Now, members of TEU Ghana laid down their tools a week ago over the failure of the government to pay Tier 2 pension funds to managers, as well as demand for extra duty and vehicle maintenance allowances. Negotiations between some labor unions and the government led to the resolution of some of the grievances, which included the payment of Tier 2 pension funds and the extra duty allowance. This compelled sister striking unions, including the Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana, to call off their industrial action. But the leadership of TEU Ghana insists the strike will be called off only when the government fully meets its demand. Charles Arthur is KNUST chairman of TEU Ghana.
TEU Ghana, per the directive from our national executive NEC, we are still on strike, being that our demands have not all been met, and we think that it has been met before. We have also not had engagement with the Labour Commission, the Labour Court in this country. As a result of that, the NEC find it difficult to suspend the strike. So as we speak, we are still on strike. Then TEU Ghana, our demands go beyond other unions' demands. For example, we are talking of a condition of service provision relating to payment of vehicle maintenance allowance to some staff who are Tewu Ghana members, which, as we speak, some universities pay, others does not pay. They said the reason being that GTech is behind telling them that don't pay. So it has created a lot of inconveniences in some campuses. And the National Executive felt that this is the opportunity to bring it to the attention of the National Labour Commission so that the commission will deal with it once and for all. Hence our strike still ongoing.
Now, the decision of Tewu Ghana comes as students at KNUST reel under the strike as lecture halls and libraries remain closed. Charles Arthur tells JoyNews the union cannot be blamed for the effects of the strike on students.
It's unfortunate that students, at the end of the day, they will be affected by the negativity of our actions. But what can one do? Because if at the end of the day, we're in a country that is the only thing that the employer will understand, you understand, then of course, and we also have to note that there's nowhere in this world that you disobey the law and purport to obey the law. It's not done in anywhere. Once the law is law, you obey it. You understand? There's a provision in the condition of service. You said you will not obey it. However, you are going behind to say that I will do this. You cannot disobey the law and purport to obey the law. So we want the Labour Commission to tell the university management, the GTech, that look, the law is the law. It's in the conditions of service. It is a law passed by the Parliament of Ghana. Obey it, please. We are to only render service and you pay me. So if you are not going to pay me, you understand, it will amount to breach of contract, you understand, between me and my employer. And it's the employer whom I'm rendering service to should be dealt with, or the complaint will have to be made against the employer and not me, the employee who is rendering a service. This is very straightforward.
Now, kindergarten pupils at Onwe Basic School in the Jesu municipality of the Ashanti region have been studying under a tree for the past 4 years due to limited classrooms. Concerned residents say the open learning space for KG1 and KG2 pupils negatively impacted their education as the children are distracted by moving vehicles and reptiles. Here's the report.
Speaking to Joy News, the residents of Onwe said the pupils are mostly challenged during the rainy season. The pupils move to the veranda of the basic school or are sent home when the clouds gather. The local authorities have been made aware of the situation, but there is no intervention yet.
It's been long. I can count almost 4 years. They have sat under the tree for long. The old and new students have all been under the tree.
Aside from the kindergarten learning on the tree, the lack of electricity in the school has hindered the learning of ICT. Teachers at the Onwe MA Junior High School, too, also have their staff common room under a tree. According to some of the tutors, they have had to take shelter under the trees for over a decade.
Our classrooms have gullies, and it gets worse when it rains. We don't even have computers.
Construction of a building intended to accommodate the people are stalled. The recently elected assemblyman of Abuenim, Odaho, and Onwe electoral area, Hakim Mohammed, says he has started engagements to improve the situation. What worries me the most are the kids under the tree. I have engaged the Onwe chief. We need funds. Reporting for JoyNews, Clinton Yabua.
And to other stories, the community of Jirapa in the Upper West region has been thrown into a state of shock, anguish and sadness following the death of a man whose ideas were fast changing the economy of the area, Eric Johnson, the CEO of Cozy Hill Hotel. According to reports, the murder was committed in Mr. Johnson's room, which is situated close to the hotel. 5 persons have so far been picked up by the police in connection with the incident. Regional correspondent Traffic Salam has been following up on the matter and has come through with this report.
The unknown assailant is alleged to have entered the private residence of owner of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel Eric Johnson aided by a ladder through this fortified fence wall. The executive mansion, as he called it, overlooked the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, where he lived and met his personal guests. Eric Johnson is security conscious and has never toyed with his personal security. One cannot have access to this edifice without his personal knowledge. He's always the one to conduct you around the magnificent edifice. The executive mansion now has all 4 gates closed and under lock and key as a result of his gruesome murder last Sunday. I am in front of one of the gates of the private residence of the Chief Executive Officer of Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Eric Johnson. We are told that the unknown assailant came from this route after allegedly committing the act, came through this gate, went out with his car, and then dumped the car at the heart of town. Inside the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, which shares a wall with the executive mansion, it appears deserted and looks like a ghost town. Less than a dozen of workers were seen at work with no reveller to take care of. The Jiriba town is enveloped with sadness, grief, and anger over the loss of a man who is a Goliath in achievement and development of the area and the region at large. Both the young and old, the business community, are yet to come to terms with what happened.
This man is a joy to us all. This man is somebody who is down to earth. He doesn't see himself worldly, because of that doesn't respect people. He respects every Tom, Dick, and Harry. My daughter, he has always passionately called her wife. This man has always been there for me and my daughter and for my little business. He's the reason why my business is like this. He's the reason why I'm even living here in Drapa and comfortably in the lead among others. I've lost a great man. Drapa has lost, Upper West has lost.
That man is actually very, very charitable. That one there, if you ask anybody that actually knows the man, he has the heart of giving. He really gives out unconditionally, irrespective of whom you are. Then you've not met him. If you haven't met him, fine. But if you are able to pass through the right procedure, the right processes, and meet the man, you realize that whatever your needs are, especially financially, that man will be able to help you.
Well, let's take you to the grounds and speak to Rafiq Salam for an update on the police delegation and more. Rafiq, well, we understand that the police are there now. What can you tell us about the work that they are doing there so far?
The crack police CID team that the Inspector General of the Ghana Police Service, Dr. George Akufo Dampare, deployed to the Upper West region, have played their cards closer to their chest. They are tight-lipped about whatever investigations that they are doing. But I can only report to you that this morning they came into town, and then from there they went to Jirapa, started their investigations, and that's currently where they have pitched camp.
So you've not been able to really gather what they've been able to do since they came to town?
The only thing that I can tell you about is about the arrest which the police has kept on their Facebook. The 2 more arrests today that they did. But for now, they are tight-lipped. Even at the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, talking about the private residence of Eric Johnson, where the alleged murder is suspected to have taken place, is under lock and key. What they definitely did was to close the place, lock it, and then they were inside there doing their own work.
So you've been there. How big is this, mansion of the CEO, and how many security men do you gather were around at the time the incident happened?
That is a private residence of Eric Johnson, and then it's closer to the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel. Actually, it really shares a wall with the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, and also overlooks the entire hotel. And this particular place, he prefers to call it the executive mansion, and because when we tried to call it the presidential mansion, he said, no, this is my private residence, and then also he lives there alone. And there are several rooms in this magnificent edifice. It's a state-of-the-art very huge hotel, a very huge edifice, and he's the only one, he's the only personality living in this particular area. But our information yesterday, when we got in there, we saw a dozen of policemen around that area, and then today too, it was same. You know, seeing the place, I also locked on the key, but we could see that some policemen were peeping through some holes around the gates to try to see who were around. Okay. But they were indoors, and they didn't want to make any sort of will know that people were around. But we saw them, and our lenses got them from far away. Okay.
But were you able to decipher how the person who committed the act got access to the master key? Because we are told he did this with the master key.
For now, this is what they are alleging. And so it's up to these security agencies to prove that that was really what actually happened. But for me, from a layman point of view, I think that this particular act was executed by a professional. Because if you are not close to Mr. Eric, you wouldn't know how this edifice, this magnificent edifice is like. You know, I have been there over 10 times, but I can't count the number of rooms in this particular place. And I've been to this particular room where it's alleged that this murder took place. But I didn't know that that was exactly where Mr. Eric Johnson lives, because actually, Brace, the place looked like, you know, the door looks like a private room, or like for a toilet. You know, you would have mistaken it for a toilet. Okay. And so for somebody to know that this is actually where Mr. Johnson is, it must be somebody who knows the place, or somebody who took somebody from the place, who took somebody out there, and then try to describe how the place looked like. If not, you alone. Because Eric Johnson has never allowed anybody to go into this room without him. I have been there several times, over dozens of times, and I have been there with him. And anytime that people want to go there with him, unless you move in his own car, he wouldn't allow you even to come with your own car. Only on some few occasions that I saw when the president came around there, that the president and his daughter came in with their car. But if not, but he let them in. He let them in. Because you don't just come in there without his notice.
All right, then. Rafiq, grateful for that quite very disturbing and heartbreaking story for the people of Jirapa there. We're still keeping an eye on this developing story. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, the culture of teenage girls trading sex for fish in coastal community of Hafasini in the Jomoro district of the Western region is commonplace. Now, the girls beg for fish doing substantial catch and return sexual favor as payment to the fishermen. It's termed as fish for sex in the local community. JoyNews Stanley Ni Bleu was there to dig into this worrying culture and report.
Hafasini is one of 26 coastal communities in the Jomoro municipality of the Western region with prevalent teenage sexual exploitation. Its vibrant shore attracts loads of town folks daily when canoes that go for fishing expeditions land ashore. On occasions where the fishermen have a substantial catch, teenage girls who come to the beach to beg for fish for their families' upkeep become the target of sexual exploitation, as every fish they receive from the fishermen is paid back through sex. As a result, teenage pregnancy and single parenthood are a common phenomenon in the community, with little being done by local stakeholders to address the situation. The practice is termed by indigenes as fish for sex, and this is confirmed by the deputy manager of the Jomoro Fisheries Commission, Irene Obeng.
The girls are young, so the fishermen take advantage of the situation and have sex with them. Fish for sex is prevalent here.
The barter sex trade is fueled largely by poverty and parental neglect. Semenya Maxwell, a fisherman with more than a decade fishing experience, opens up on the level of exploitation.
Everybody will be struggling for the fish. So if you can assess the one who is there and he's also giving you, and he also has something, but means you also give you fish, give me sex, give you fish, give me barter system in that way.
According to Maxwell, married women committing infidelity for favors of fish gifts also exist in the community. At the Anlo line, a set of fishermen have returned from a fishing expedition and are pulling their catch ashore. Adjo, a 17-year-old single parent and a victim of sexual exploitation, is among people who have come to the London beach. She explains what she uses the fish she receives from the men for.
He has been bringing the fish home when we started dating. I sell some and use the rest to prepare dish for the family.
Adjo was forced to end the relationship with her child's father after accusing him of using fish to lure other teenage girls.
We broke up because he cheated.
Comfort, a shore laborer, recounted how she influenced her friend to exchange sex for fish.
A fisherman expressed interest in my friend, so anytime I come to the shore, he gives me octopus and other big fishes to give to her. When he needs her to, he tells me to convey the message to my friend to meet him up.
Education of the victims of the community's sexual exploitation is abruptly truncated once pregnancy sets in.
I called one girl and she was like, "Madam, my mother, whenever you ask her for anything, she will tell you she's not having. So the only thing that I could do, I have a guy, I think the guy also works at the seashore, so he's the guy helping her at school. So the only thing she can also offer to the guy is to give herself to the guy."
Heno Mpoano is a civil society organization that has been doing some work across several coastal communities in the Western region. Adiza Ama Owusu Aduomi is a programs officer responsible for gender integration at Heno Mpoano, and she joins me via Zoom for further deliberations on this matter. Grateful. How worrying is the situation in the coastal communities along Ghana? We should not just limit it to the Western region.
Yeah, thank you so much. And unfortunately, that's the reality in most of our coastal communities, and these sexual exploitations are becoming more prevalent. And it's important to understand the sociocultural dynamics of our coastal fishing communities. You know, the patriarchal and the polygamous nature of these coastal communities often compel women and girls to endure some of these social injustices to a greater extent. And it's worth knowing that the dwindling fish stock has really increased these menace along our coastal areas. Yeah.
Well, in your interactions with the communities, what else have they been telling you apart from, poverty, which is largely the root cause?
Yeah, so why I listen in, and parental neglect is one major issue, and this is due to the large family sizes associated with these coastal communities, and that is becoming a real issue. And as I mentioned earlier, the dwindling of the fish stocks, and most of these teenagers, they often face multiple vulnerabilities, and it's associated to poverty, and there is also the limited access to education, because they tend to fend for themselves at an earlier age, and it's a real issue on the ground.
So what sort of interventions can change this narrative?
Yeah, so for now, there is the need for intensive education and awareness creation at the community level, which Heno Mpoano is collaborating with other stakeholders who are working within the gender-based violence space to create awareness and get for the communities to know the harmful effects of these actions. And there are lots of community engagement, empowering community actors and the fisher folk leaders themselves to really understand and advocate against some of these gender-based violence issues, and also ensure that these children get to school. So we collaborate with government institutions, social welfare, DOFSU, SHRAJ, and all those actors working along the child labor, gender-based violence space to intensify awareness.
Okay, all right. Grateful to you for joining us here. Wish you all the best in what you do for those girls. This is still the JoyNews Prime. Now, Media Foundation for West Africa and Ghana Journalists Association take on the National Media Commission for criticizing the GJA's decision to blacklist politicians who have attacked journalists in the past. Now, in the last 5 years at least, there have been 35 attacks and abuse on journalists. My colleague Isaac Kofi has been researching these and joins me with more, in studio. Kofi, you've been doing some digging. I mean, you found as many as 35?
35 on the threats and actual attacks on journalists between 2019 and 2024 February. So we are talking about an average of 6 attacks every year since 2019. We are talking about, that's journalists, but if you look at institutions or media institutions, since 2014 to 2023, last year, we've had more than 14 attacks on media institutions. So if you add the two, we are looking at 49 attacks on media institutions and journalists from 2014 to 2024 February. If we should even add the attacks between 2014 and 2019, then the figure could be more. So what you have on the screen gives you an average of 6 attacks every year since 2019.
I mean, so, and do we know where, when it comes to the Media Commission resolving these issues, do you know where they are, the stages?
Well, so for instance, if you look at the 35 attacks and threats on journalists, for instance, they say in terms of the institutions, you have just one of those institutions that have actually been resolved. Since 2019, you have 14 institutions, media institutions being attacked, and just one of them have been resolved. And you remember the case of
13 remain unresolved. 13 That's huge. Unresolved,
yes. And if you remember the case of Ahmed Swale 2019, we still do not know the status of that case, for instance. And so you can't have, we are approaching elections. We've been having series of, news about media attacks and all of that. You can't have an average of 6 in a year when you are approaching a crucial election like the election 2024.
Interesting research there. Kofi Ajay is a lead data and research analyst here at JoyNews. Well, this is still the JoyNews Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Do stay. All right, welcome back. Let's do Showbiz now. And like I always say, the queen of the game, Becky Beggs baby, is in the house. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. I like looking at myself on TV. Put me on. One shot. Oh, there you go. It's a beautiful Monday.
Oh, Becky.
Ask me what I did.
Over the weekend.
Yeah. I think it's Kofi Kinata was
yes,
I almost called you.
But I mean, why did you? No, I didn't. You didn't do well.
Well, I was there.
Because this is my Fanti brother, my West Side brother, doing something. I got to be there for him.
Well, I was there, thankfully, because I love all of you all. And, well, I wasn't in America, but the NFL happened. Usher gave a sterling performance. Alicia Keys, also got on stage. We had Ludacris on stage. And there was a representation of Ghana in a commercial that you need to see. I've got all of that here on Prime Showbiz. It's 2024, and this is my official first event of the year. I heard Kofi Kinata is performing live here at Blackberry Lounge, and I'm here to have fun with the rest of you. Nat, if you can pan the camera around, you see that we're having a lot of fun here at the Blackberry Lounge. It's actually my favorite song, the background. Let me sing it let me try.
I tell the Mahama, Yakwaba, Mamika cry. Baby, Shwamopoa.
I like what I saw tonight. Like the fans were some kind of fans, you know. They weren't the normal, I mean, hey fans, kind of fans. They are those people who wouldn't attend street shows. So to see them here is, well, I mean, it was a privilege meeting them because they wouldn't want to be on the streets or at a stadium or whatever. So here, places like this are the places that you're gonna find fans like this. So I'm very happy that they also, I mean, we also made time for ourselves to meet and something like that. I met some of the fans from the other side. I wouldn't meet them had it not been this show.
So, while Kofi Kinata was busily shaking Blackberry Lounge off the Spinters Road, let's go to London, where Afronita and Abigail will be representing the motherland on the Britain Got Talent stage. The last time I checked, Reggie and Bodhi did their thing. Now, we cannot wait to celebrate our Afronita and young Abigail. Go Ghana! Go Ghana,
right.
go Ghana, go Ghana.
Yeah, that was splendid there.
So yesterday,
everything in there was just exciting.
Yesterday,
I'm only angry because you didn't take me to Kenyatta, but that's fine. Let's move on.
Okay. So are you also angry because Ivory Coast won the African Cup?
Oh, no. How can I be? No, I am not.
Yeah, I had like several panic attacks because I thought Nigeria was going to win, and then we will get trolled for whatever reason. But the Ivorians, we have a new dance which is out. You're supposed to learn this dance. Tomorrow you send in your dance skills, then we can, compare. Here you go.